You're listening to Locked On Now NHL, local experts on the biggest stories on the ice. I'm your host, Kim Becker, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. We've got our Locked On NHL host here to tell you everything that you need to know from the night in hockey. Last night's biggest game renewed the heated New York-Boston sports rivalry in Madison Square Garden.
The biggest game.
The New York Rangers beat out the Boston Bruins at Madison Square Garden last night, but not before the Bruins took the Rangers to 9 rounds of a shootout. Yes, you heard that correctly. 9 rounds of a shootout. After each team more than earned the points they came away with in New York, our Locked On Bruins and Rangers host recap the big rivalry matchup.
Hey, what is going on, hockey fans? It's John Chick with Locked On New York Rangers here to talk about just an epic 2-1, 9-round shootout victory by the New York Rangers over the Boston Bruins. Where do I even start in a game like this? I mean, there was so much that happened, but I think we got to start first and foremost with Igor Shesterkin. I mean, stop me if you've heard me say this before. It was another absolutely phenomenal performance by Igor Shesterkin. But what made this one different, if you guys watch this game, in the overtime period, Igor gets absolutely bowled over. He stays in the game for an extra minute or two, and then, the NHL's concussion protocol thing kind of kicks in. They pull him off the ice. Alex Georgiev plays the rest of overtime. Igor goes back out there for the shootout and proceeds to stop the Bruins on 7 out of their 9 attempts. So when Igor Shesterkin is going into the Hall of Fame many, many years from now, this is going to be one of the moments that is highlighted during, his tribute video or whatever it might be. So obviously a huge night for him. Can't say enough about the job he did. Keandre Miller with the walk-off goal in the bottom of the ninth inning there, so to speak. It was the ninth round of the shootout. And, of course, Miller scoring meant that, the Rangers had obviously won the game at that point. And Filipino, man, coming through clutch in the third period. Filipino is a guy that just really, really needed a moment for this New York Ranger team. It's been a tough season for him. He's had a rough go of it, but he came up clutch with the game-tying goal in the third period. So there's a lot to like here, and we're going to be talking all about it on the next episode of Locked On New York Rangers. Do not miss it.
Well, the Boston Bruins picked up a point in a pretty wild shootout loss to the New York Rangers here on Tuesday evening, playing once again without Patrice Bergeron, playing once again without Brad Marchand. Jeremy Swayman went toe-to-toe with New York Rangers goalie Igor Shesterkin, who is a likely Vezina Trophy finalist winner. Shesterkin had to be pulled late in overtime because of some concerns over a possible concussion, but he was able to come back for the shootout and shut the door enough to give the Rangers the extra point in this one. But an impressive effort for Jeremy Swayman coming off a shutout win in his last start. He's now only allowed one goal over his last 125 minutes of play. And Charlie Coyle with the goal for the Bruins, continuing to step up in the absence of Marchand and Bergeron. Catch all the latest about the Boston Bruins on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. I'm the host, Ian McLaren, and the Bruins again losing 2-1 to the New York Rangers in a shootout here on Tuesday evening.
The New York Islanders came back to tie the Sabres in Buffalo more than once last night, but didn't have another punch in them after Buffalo scored 3 goals in the third period to pull away. After New York's defense let the game slip away late, Locked On Islanders tells you what went wrong.
Gil Martin of Locked On Islanders here. Isles fall to the Buffalo Sabres 6-3 in Buffalo, blowing what should have been a golden opportunity to pick up 2 points. Bottom line, the Islanders did not play Islanders hockey. They allowed Buffalo to take more than 40 shots on goal, many of them quality chances, and they were behind throughout this game. Never had a lead. Down 1-0, came back, down 2-1, down 3-2. After 3-3, there was just no comeback left in this team. Defensively, they were not sharp. They did not keep the Sabres to the perimeter. And let's face it, for an offensively challenged team like the Islanders, if you're giving up 4, 5, 6 goals in a game, you're not going to win too many of them. Islanders return home Thursday to face the Boston Bruins, but time is running out for the Islanders to try to turn this season around. For more, listen to the Locked On Islanders podcast with me, Gil Martin, wherever you get podcasts.
The Pittsburgh Penguins got the win last night against the Flyers, but it was an even bigger milestone for the legend of Sidney Crosby. As Sid the Kid hits his 500th goal, our Locked On Penguins has the recap.
Where everyone, Sidney Crosby finally got it done and he got his 500th career goal. Hey everyone, I'm Hunter Hodes here with another little Locked On Now video as the Penguins got the 5-4 comeback win over the Philadelphia Flyers. But the biggest storyline was Sidney Crosby getting that milestone. And of course, it had to come against the Philadelphia Flyers. This was also his 50th career goal against Philly. Only Mario Lemieux has more goals scored against the Flyers than Sidney Crosby. And it just, it's another milestone in his historic career. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. In my mind, he's a top 5 player to ever lace him up. It came from his office. He's so good down low on the top power play. He makes any goalie look lost, and he did exactly that to Carter Hart tonight. He is now 26th all time and with the most points scored in the NHL with 1,370. And then he is now 45th all time with the most career goals in NHL history. For more on that, plus a full game recap, you can go check out Locked On Penguins wherever you get your podcasts.
The Flyers could have spoiled Crosby's big night and led late, but gave up the 2-goal lead before eventually falling in overtime. Locked On Flyers goes over the disappointing collapse.
Russ Cohen here for Locked On Flyers podcast. Heartbreaking loss for the Flyers. They're up 2 goals in the third, but the Penguins are used to coming back. Claude Giroux scores first. He always does well in the Penguins building. Sidney Crosby predictably gets his 500th goal. But Chris Letang scores last in overtime. Claude Giroux falls down. The Penguins get a 2-on-1, and that's pretty much it. Another game where Carter Hart and net, not a horrible game, but still a 5 spot hung on them. That's just the way this team it's going. The Flyers did have good stretches. They had some stretches where they played some defense, but this is just right now, it's a team that the minute bad things happen, they just collapse. And the Penguins are just that team that keeps pushing. So the Penguins earned this win and the Flyers earned that loss. Listen to the podcast.
The Dallas Stars beat the Colorado Avalanche in Colorado in regulation, something that hadn't been done in months. Our Locked On Stars host tells you everything that led to picking up one of the hardest road wins in hockey this season.
Against all odds, the Dallas Stars come out with a big win in Colorado, snapping yet another big streak. What's up, everyone? Dane Lewis here, host of Locked On Stars, coming to you after the Dallas Stars' massive win over the Colorado Avalanche in Colorado, defeating them in regulation by a score of 4-1. In order to see Colorado's last regulation loss this season at home, you have to go all the way back to October 26th when they lost 3-1 to the Vegas Golden Knights in their own building. That is the last time they lost at home in regulation, a 22-point home streak. Absolutely insane. And the Dallas Stars have wrecked it after being shut out on Sunday afternoon 4-0 at their own building in Dallas at the AAC. The Stars flipped the script and they did exactly what I said they needed to do. They found scoring from their top line, namely Joe Pavelski. He almost gets the hat trick on the night. He almost scores an empty netter at the end, but regardless, he has a multi-point night, 2 goals. Jason Robertson finds the back of the net. Tyler Seguin seals the game with an empty netter at the end, and Jake Ottinger, the hero of this game, 46 saves. Braden Holtby struggles on Sunday against the Avs at home, but then Jake Ottinger comes out on the road and gives the best performance so far of his career. And it will not be the last one that we see of this magnitude. The Stars were outshot in this game. This is a dangerous offensive Colorado team, as we saw on Sunday. And as we even talked about on yesterday's episode with Locked On Avalanche, this team can hurt you in so many ways. Yet despite all odds, like I said, Jake Ottinger was able to stay dialed in the pipes, only allowing 1 goal. Absolutely phenomenal effort from the young goaltender there. Really loved what I saw from him. Loved what I saw from the top line in general. This is very promising for the Stars going forward. It still keeps them close in this tight Western Conference wildcard playoff spot race. All the points that they can get, they'll take. And now it seemingly gets a little bit easier as now they have the Blackhawks and the Coyotes to worry about on the road this weekend. But they do need to soak in this win, take the positives from this game, and continue to carry those over into this weekend and to the rest of the season, because they did a lot of really good things against Colorado. They didn't play perfect, but the most important thing is they found a way to win on the road. That's now 5 straight road wins for the Stars, which is a big feat within itself, given how this Stars team started out on the road this season. All in all, huge night for this Dallas Stars team. They split this home and home series here with the Colorado Avalanche and now have won the season series by a tally of 2-1. And so the Dallas Stars always love to have the upper hand on the Colorado Avalanche. We'll break down this game in its entirety on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Stars.
That's all for today on Locked On Now NHL. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Now that you're done here, make your second listens Locked On NHL and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kim Becker. This has been Locked On Now, Locked On your team every day.